I never imagined my peaceful getaway would begin with fists pounding on my cabin door at 6 a.m. The knock turned into violent pounding. I stumbled to the door, still half asleep, coffee mug in hand. The three men outside wore tactical belts and bulletproof vests emblazoned with Emerald Bay HOA compliance unit. One held a clipboard, the other rested his hand casually on a sidearm. Evan Callahan, the tallest one, asked flatly. I nodded, heart racing. You've been served. Vacate the premises within 48 hours or face legal action and a $25,000 fine. I stared, stunned, at the paperwork shoved into my chest. My grandfather, Walter Callahan, had owned this cabin for over 5 decades. I had only just started reconnecting with my family's legacy after inheriting it 3 months earlier. As the guards turned back toward their gleaming SUV, one muttered, "You're not the first they've pushed out." The implication hit hard. I wasn't just facing a misunderstanding, I was standing in the crosshairs of something much bigger and much darker. They didn't know it yet, but they had picked a fight with someone who had receipts and a legacy to protect. My name is Evan Callahan. I'm a forensic accountant, and I was about to turn their $2 million mistake into their worst nightmare. The moment the guards left, I stood in disbelief. My grandfather had owned this cabin for over 50 years. Determined to understand, I tore through dusty file boxes stacked in the loft. There, in a worn leather folder marked Emerald Bay Property Do Not Lose, I found it the original 1964 survey deed and his meticulous boundary notes. Comparing them to the HOA's map revealed something shocking. My property extended well past what they claimed, including the prized dock area they were renting out for weekend boaters. My stomach tightened. They weren't just trying to evict me, they'd been profiting from my land. The next morning, as I measured the dock posts, a woman in hiking boots and a ball cap approached. "You must be Evan," she said, offering a firm handshake. "I'm Sage Delaney, your neighbor to the north." Over coffee on my porch, Sage revealed her own run-in with Marla Winslow, the HOA president. She threatened me with a $10,000 fine over a shed that's been here for decades. Sage scanned my documents, eyebrows raised. "This is gold. They've been lying. Your property includes that entire cove." Together we realized the HOA wasn't enforcing rules, they were orchestrating a hostile takeover. That afternoon, a white SUV with Emerald Bay HOA lettering pulled into my driveway. Out stepped Marla Winslow, immaculate blonde hair, tailored cream suit flanked by clipboard-toting assistants. Without greeting me, she snapped photos of my deck and dock. "You're violating safety codes and unauthorized use of community property," she announced coldly. I calmly presented my grandfather's surveys, but she dismissed them as outdated. That night, my power and water were shut off under the pretense of emergency upgrades. Sage shook her head. Standard Marla move. She did the same to my neighbors last year. They gave up. You can't. Frustrated but determined, I combed through my grandfather's records late into the night. Tucked inside an old envelope labeled Water Rights Private, I found the Game Changer documentation confirming riparian rights granted in the original deed. These rights gave me legal control over the water and dock area Marla had been renting out at a premium. The next day, I verified it with Thomas Grayson, the Emerald Bay Harbor Master. He adjusted his glasses, studied the documents, and nodded slowly. "You technically own not just the shoreline, but the adjacent water access. That dock can't legally operate without your permission." I felt a surge of relief and quiet vindication. Sage smiled. Marla is not going to like this. I knew she wouldn't. Without the cove access, her entire $2 million luxury condo project would collapse. For the first time since the nightmare started, I realized I had the upper hand. Armed with proof, I launched my counterattack. First, I created a website detailing Marla's violations, complete with scanned documents and photos of her team trespassing. I installed motion-activated cameras around my cabin. Within days, they captured HOA board members walking on my property, tampering with my belongings, and even peeking through my windows. The most damning footage showed Marla instructing workers to search for anything that looks important. I cataloged every incident with timestamps and sent formal complaints to the county. At dawn, I planted bright boundary markers along the true property lines, cutting directly through what they'd labeled a community garden. I even added solar lights so they couldn't be ignored at night. The reaction was immediate. A cease and desist letter arrived within hours, accusing me of vandalism and threatening a $50,000 lawsuit. I smiled grimly. They were panicking. For the first time, I was dictating the terms. The monthly HOA meeting was packed. Marla presided confidently until I stood county documents in hand. According to official records, my property extends to the cove you've been renting illegally, I announced. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Marla's lawyer whispered frantically, but I continued listing surveillance footage, utility shutoffs, and trespassing incidents. The final blow came when Thomas Grayson confirmed my riparian rights publicly. Marla's face drained of color. The board adjourned abruptly, vowing to investigate my claims. As I walked out, several neighbors whispered thank yous. The intimidation wall had cracked. The real fight was only beginning. In the weeks that followed, Marla's empire unraveled. County prosecutors opened a fraud investigation, her luxury condo project collapsed, and investors fled. The HOA board voted to remove her, appointing Owen Baxter as interim president. My property rights were formally recognized, and I was compensated for damages. With Sage's help, we established the Emerald Bay Legal Defense Fund to protect homeowners from future HOA abuse. Slowly, the community healed. Neighbors who once avoided each other began working together. As the sun set over the lake one evening, I sent Marla a framed copy of my survey. Always read the fine print.